Welcome back to the dojo, everybody, and welcome back to a 10-minute Tuesday. I want to talk to you about control. This is something I've struggled with. Like, I've always had to be a person who was in control or controlled my surroundings or just kind of what was going on. And yes, I know, I mean, we all do that, right? But I think we can identify when somebody, struggles with control more than others. And that's been me. And, this weekend with the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, something like that really rocks my world. And I think it rocks all of our worlds, right? And the desire is when something goes wrong, we want to jump in and just start like trying to fix it or take action because I think we feel better when we take action. And I'm a faith guy and I've struggled handing over control to God. And it's funny because whenever I try to control things is when things kind of go wrong, right? They don't really turn out the way I want them to, or maybe they do for a time period, but in the end, it just really isn't what I really needed, and a lot of times what I really wanted. And so, with this horrible chain of events this weekend, I noticed a lot of us wanting to take, action right away. And this isn't saying we shouldn't. And this message isn't just for, people who vote Republican. This is for everybody on both sides of the political spectrum about taking a step back and seeking out God's will for us and for this country. And what's refreshing, what's encouraging is that yes, I cannot control my outcomes. Just like the woods. I can't control what happens in the woods a lot of times, right? I can't control the weather. I can't control what a deer is going to do. I can't control somebody walking in on me while I'm hunting on public land. And in the past, those things would really wreck me, like, oh, my hunt's over, and or if I'd be hunting in the rut, and all of a sudden it's 65 degrees and oh, it's all ruined, And what happens then is when I feel like I have to control things, and then when I don't, and then I just kind of like fall apart. Well, then I really am like giving up all control at that point, right? Like, then I'm not even able to have any kind of positive influence on the situation. And so, what I've realized is that I just have to hand these things over to God because He is in control. And that's what I want to remind us today. And I'm sorry if this sounds a little preachy, but it just really hit me this weekend thinking about, everything that was going on. And I'm just mourning. Honestly, I'm mourning like my childhood. I think about my kids and no, and things weren't perfect. And we had horrible things happen during our time period, but it just everything seemed a little less chaotic, a little less hateful. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just my area of the world was like that. But that's what it felt like. And now everything seems to be in chaos. But I want to read 3 verses to you to give you some reassurance. Psalms 55:22 says, "Many are the plans in the mind of man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." And that one really stands out to me because, man, not just on moments like this when something big happens where I feel like I have no control, which I don't, but even before this. I mean, sit back and I think a lot of people struggle with, wanting to make decisions about their lives, like, what career should I do, or worried about their career, or worried about the next day, and all these things. And we try to map out and make the best plans, but are we going to the one who made us and handing it over to him? Because in the end, he has all control, and seeking out what his purpose is and not mine. And it seems to me like this is something I struggle with, but the few times that I have sought out his purpose first, they've turned out pretty good. Not that it was easy, but it turned out good. The next verse is Proverbs 19:21. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. And that's in the end, God works all things out to his glory. He's going to correct everything. And if it happens, he's allowed it to happen. And a lot of times we can't understand that. And a lot of us go through really hard, painful things that I don't want to be flippant about. But in the end, and it's hard for us to see sometimes, it works to his glory and it will be good. So just like what's going on right now, not just this weekend, but in your life, in the end, it's going to work out to his glory and for good. And another reason why we need to stop for a second and just seek out his will. The last one I'll read is Matthew 19:26. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. And that's one that I need to read probably every day. Don't let our hearts be troubled. No need to be afraid, because he's got it. It's like that kid song, he's got the whole world in his hands. And here's the thing. This is what I really love about Jesus. He paid the price so we could go to God and have these conversations. He paid the price so we could lay these burdens onto him. He died on the cross for my sin and for your sin. And he did that because he loved us. And he did that so he could open up a communication pathway. And now we can do these things. Now we can come to the Lord. We can seek out his purpose, his will. We can trust that he's going to work it all, in his glory and for good. And we can lean on the peace that he gives us, not as the world does, but something that lasts forever. He did the work, he paid the price, and that is a contract. And it's an unbreakable contract. So back to like this weekend and maybe even other stuff that's going on in your life. God calls us to take a stand. God calls us sometimes to do really hard things. And other times he calls us to do things quietly. But I don't think he just has us, not do anything. But what I really feel like a lot of times we skip the thing we should be doing. And that's first praying, giving it to him, and seeking out his will, because not everyone is called to go and, do the hard thing and be loud. And, some of us are called to do things quietly. Some of us are called to do things loudly. Some of us are called to just sit back and continue to pray. Some of us are called to take action and move somewhere. But if we do those things without seeking him first, we might be doing the wrong thing. And all I'm saying right now is not just about what happened with President Donald Trump, but in your own life, whatever it may be, even like deciding, should I make this career move? Should I do this? Should I do this with my kid? Or, whatever it is, all these stresses that we have on our shoulders every single day, take a moment, pray, give it to him, because his purpose will stand. He will work it out in our favor, and he gives us peace in a time like this. I hope you have a blessed week. And yeah, I'm going to pray for all of us. I would love for you to join in. And when I pray, it's like this, man. It's just a regular conversation. I don't have any eloquent prayers. I'm not the guy that you'd point out in the church and think, oh, that guy's like really connected to God. I'm kind of like the guy that God looks at and goes, see that one over there? That's the wild one. That's my wild one. And the reason why I tell you that is because I think, he accepts us all. If we come to him, arms wide open. Have a blessed week, everybody.